Hello friends, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and if this is the first video of mine that you're catching, welcome. My name is Rachel and I'm a reseller on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, and I love ordering mystery boxes to stock my online stores. I love showing you what I'm ordering so that hopefully it helps you make decisions for what to source on your own online business. Today I'm doing an update for you on the vintage finds box I got from Helpsy source. So if you want to see how this one did, definitely stick around. So this one is a little bit different than my traditional videos. I did not purchase this box. Helpsy at this point, which it looks like this was back in December of 2024, they were offering curated vintage boxes, and they had them by category, like jeans and pants and shirts and outerwear and all the different like variety packs. And they sent me like a sample of a few of the different packs just so I could come on here and show you guys. I didn't pay for it, full transparency. They didn't charge me for it. They just said, hey, can we send this to you and you show your audience what you know, the types of stuff they could potentially get in these boxes. So for that reason, I did not rate the boxes initially because I didn't actually spend any money on them. And it's going to skew the results as far as profitability for me. So I didn't actually rate this. I showed you what came inside. I gave you my affiliate code if you wanted to order one. And then as of now, they haven't had these on the site in a while. I don't know if they just like sold out or they decided to stop offering them. I'm not sure, but I wanted to show you what sold anyway, in case you are somebody that does a lot of thrifting or you're sourcing vintage. I want to show you what actually sold out of this and how much it sold for. So in case you come across any of this stuff, you know like what the history is and what the potential is for sales. So if you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more, hit that like button if you could, and comment down below, what is your favorite vintage brand to sell? Or if you've heard of any of these brands. Let's make this a learning opportunity for everybody. If there's a particular brand that you get super excited to find, or a certain style or anything, like let us know in the comments. That's a fun conversation we can have on this video. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll share with you what sold. I'll show you from lowest sale price to highest, and then I'll show you what I have left. So starting with the lowest sale, this was the Islander mesh top. Apparently this is like vintage streetwear. I thought it was kind of weird. I think a lot of things are kind of weird though, so that's not surprising. And this one sold on Poshmark for $12. It took me, I don't know, 2.5 months to sell it. And it hadn't had any interest really up until somebody offered me 12 bucks. So I did just go ahead and take it. I had the Mustang Boomtown Casino t-shirt. It was questionable whether this was vintage or not. I guess it could have been, but it didn't have a year or a date on it at all. But this one sold on Poshmark for $13.60 as part of a bundle. So I went ahead and made the sale on multiple items. Actually, I think the next item also sold in that same bundle. And when you bundle with me, there's a greater chance I'm going to accept a lower offer because I want you to buy all the things in the bundle. There was this NASCAR crew neck sweatshirt in a size large. This one sold on the same date on Poshmark in a bundle, so I'm going to assume it was the same bundle, and if memory serves me correctly, it was. But the amount for this one in that bundle was $18.09. There was this vintage bomber jacket from Woolrich. This one sold on eBay. It was only listed a few days, but it sold for $20. And ideally, I would have gotten a lot more for this, but when I went to photograph it, there was some stains. I don't know if it was food stains or what. I didn't want to try to clean it either because I didn't want to ruin it more. So I basically just listed it like, hey, there's some stains on it. They might come off, they might not. I didn't try because I didn't want to ruin the jacket the way it is. So somebody offered me $20 on eBay and I did go ahead and take it. I do think this jacket would have been worth a lot more if it didn't have the stains. And, you know, maybe I should have tried to clean it, I guess. I don't know. I don't have any regrets. maybe if you're somebody that is better at cleaning up old items, then you could have seen a much bigger profit on this, but I'll take the 20 bucks. There was this pink cable knit zip up sweater from Ralph Lauren Sport. I was very surprised at this one. This one sold within 2 days on eBay, and it had a ton of interest on eBay and Poshmark before it finally sold. It only sold for $20. I don't think it was really worth more than that, but this totally reminds me of when I was in high school. I graduated high school in the early 2000s, so it was very Y2K and apparently very sought after. So I will say I learned something on this, because if I were at the thrift store and I saw this, I would not think twice about passing it. And I'm kind of glad that this happened, because now I might actually pick something like this up if I see it again, considering how quickly it sold. If I found it for the right price, I would absolutely pick it up again. I had this men's canvas chore jacket. I had really, really high hopes for this. The chore jackets, at the time I listed this stuff in December, very on trend. The barn jackets, this one definitely vintage, definitely has been around a while and seen its fair share of chores. It was I don't want to say well worn, because the integrity of the jacket itself was there. There wasn't a lot of like holes or anything, or maybe not even any holes, but it definitely was worn as far as like just spots and stains and just wear on it in general. I've learned with vintage though too, that apparently sometimes wear adds to the vintage vibe of an item and is not necessarily a bad thing. But I listed this high, and I listed it in December, and it had some interest, but no takers. And so finally in April, somebody offered me $25, and it was one of those situations where I figured I could either take the 25 bucks now and clear out the space in my inventory, or I can decline the offer and not know if I'm going to get another offer until the fall comes around again, and then maybe not even be able to sell it for more than that after a few months. So maybe I should have held out on that one. You can lay into me in the comments. Rachel, what are you thinking? You should have held on to that. I accept that if that's the opinion, but I was okay with moving it out of inventory. Then I had a pair of 505 vintage jeans from Levi's. These sold the same day I listed them, actually, on Poshmark for $25. So that was pretty exciting. I did do some research on these, because I know vintage Levi's can be very exciting, sometimes worth a pretty penny. These weren't that exciting. I mean, they were exciting, but they weren't like the ultra rare Levi's that people really, really look for. Maybe I underpriced these two. It's possible, because they sold so quickly. I always second guess my pricing when something sells that fast. But I still think $25 is a decent sale price for a pair of used men's Levi's. Then I had the safety back water repellent trousers. These were, the brand was Safety Back, yes. But I listed them as vintage. These didn't sell until the end of March. They did sell for $25.49 on eBay. I definitely think these are functional for hunting, and we are nowhere near hunting season. So again, accept the offer and take what you can, or let it sit until fall and maybe sell it for more, maybe not. So I opted to just take the offer on that one. There was a pair of Carhartt cargo painter jeans. These were not in the best condition either. They were, vintage, definitely vintage vibe with the wear on them. And these sold on February 1st on eBay for $29.74. So I did have a sale running at the time, but still $29.74 based on the condition they were in. Again, also I think was a very fair amount for those jeans. I had this leather bomber jacket from London Fog, which also was awesome. However, there was a problem with the zipper on this one. So whoever bought this, they would either have had to wear it open all the time or get the zipper repaired, which significantly decreases the value and the amount that I can get for it. So it did take 6 weeks to sell, but somebody offered me $30 on Poshmark that I did accept. I think if the zipper wasn't broken, I probably could have gotten at least double that for this, maybe even more. So if you find vintage bomber jackets The brand on this one was London Fog. I don't know how much the brand really matters. I don't know if London Fog specifically is a sought after vintage brand, but this was a really nice jacket. And the fact that it was vintage and the fact that it was like a little bit worn probably helped it in this case. I had the Ohio State Buckeyes jersey. This was a size extra large. This one sold on Poshmark for $38. This one was listed just under a month. So I think jerseys in general sell pretty well. This vintage jersey was an easy sale, it seemed like. So that was exciting. There was the camo hunting hoodie, also vintage. This one sold on eBay for $44.99, which I think was my full asking price. The buyer also paid $16 for shipping. This was a heavy, heavy jacket. And this one only took 3 weeks to sell. So camo hunting, actually, I'm going to just say, like, if you find the hunting stuff, especially during or right before hunting season, you know, again, that's not something that I really would have, like, looked for in a thrift store, but I might now, because the hunting stuff I think is all sold, and it's sold for a decent amount. So there's that. I had the vintage UGA Georgia Bulldogs jersey. This one sold in April for $46.74. I had it priced a little higher and it was on sale in my eBay store. Again, that's an awesome return on that. I'm glad to see that it sold for over $40. This is another one. I have never heard of this brand, but I learned something new with this box. The brand is Aran Crafts. And it was a size large, but I think it might have been shrunken a little bit, which I disclosed in the listing. It still sold for $49.99 on eBay, which was my full asking price. And it sold in like a week. So I looked, and this is a brand that's still like relevant today, or well, they still have like a website. They still sell sweaters, and it's actual like wool. It's made in Ireland, I believe. So it's very authentic wool sweater. And on the website, they're very, very pricey. I do believe, based on looking at this one, that it was vintage or at least 20 years old. So actually with this brand, I'm going to say vintage or not, this is a good brand to look out for if you see it. And again, I had never heard of it, and I don't know that I would have ever considered picking it up, but now I know. So that's going to be another bolo for you for sure. And the highest selling item out of this box was the hooded military jacket from Levi's. This was a men's size extra large, and this was listed less than a week also and sold for $49.99 on eBay, which was my full asking price. I wasn't sure if this is vintage or not. I'm still not convinced that this was totally vintage. Vintage by definition being 20 years old or more, but I got $50 for it, so I don't really care. It might be vintage. I guess 20 years goes by fast when you're having fun. So that's everything that did sell. I'll show you what I have left though, just so you can see what else came in the box and what I am still sitting on. Maybe that's not moving as quickly for me. There is the 2006 Daytona Beach Bike Week t-shirt. Not technically vintage because it's only 2025 and it's only been 19 years, but whatever. That is still here though. I had the Ole Miss jersey. The other college jerseys sold. I don't know why the Ole Miss one didn't, but I hope it still will sell. Well, I guess we'll see. That, you know, that's not going anywhere right now though. I have the vintage Cleveland Cavaliers basketball jersey. That one is still here. No takers on it. It's a size medium. The Antelope pullover. Yeah, this is totally like grandma vibes. Size extra large. The brand is technically Jerseys, but I listed it under vintage. I am kind of disappointed that one didn't sell. I'm not going to lie. I think somebody really did need that. They just didn't find it in time for last winter. Maybe they'll buy it this coming up winter. There was the Marie Y multicolor floral sweater. When I looked up comps on this, the Marie Y wasn't selling for very much. So yes, it might be vintage, but it wasn't necessarily sought after vintage. It was just old. It is kind of unique, so hopefully I'll get a buyer sooner or later. But I can't say that I expect miracles to get a lot of money for this one. There was the Shetland wool sweater. This is a really cool sweater, and this is really thick, heavy wool as well. I personally would never wear this because it's the itchy kind of wool. I don't know if you're supposed to wear like a shirt underneath it so it doesn't touch your skin. And I got a lot of interest on this, but nobody wanted to commit to buying it. So hopefully next winter. I know it's one of those things, if you love these kind of sweaters, you love them and you're willing to pay up for them. So hopefully the right buyer is out there somewhere for that one. It's a size large. There's the Dale Earnhardt Jr. pullover hoodie in a size extra large. I feel like NASCAR is hard because, like, doesn't NASCAR usually play a lot? Well, number one, they play a lot in the South. My husband really likes NASCAR. So there's a lot of tracks in the South. And then also, majority of the season is during the summer, as far as I know. So I don't know how much demand there is if you're going to, like, go to a race for a hoodie. I guess it could be. I've been to a few NASCAR races, and it's always been hot as Hades because it's been either in Georgia or Alabama or South Carolina. So I would never wear a hoodie to a NASCAR event. Plus, this hoodie was a little bit worn and maybe not in the best good way. So I guess I'm not surprised that this is still here. I say all that to say, not surprised. There's nothing, aside from the fact that it's Dale Earnhardt, there's nothing unique or special about it. It's just a hoodie. There's the Dickies Cargo Painter jeans in a 34 by 34. Those have a little bit of paint on them. Again, hopefully to add character, but hasn't helped me sell them. There is the Mossy Oak double knee hunting camo jeans. It's the only hunting camo anything that hasn't sold. I am kind of surprised because all the other camo stuff did so well. These are Wrangler too, so they are a well-known brand, and I listed them under the brand. Maybe I'll have better luck this coming fall. And last but not least, the one thing that we knew for sure was not vintage was the Legends Never Die DMX t-shirt. And DMX died in 2021. And the dates gave it away as not being vintage. It was pretty worn, and it has had absolutely no interest, which is exactly what I expected. But I listed it anyway just for fun. But that is still here as well, if anybody wants that. It is the 3X, and it's in my closets. So that's everything. I do hope you find this helpful. Was there anything in this, anything that came out of this box that you found surprising? You're surprised that it did sell or surprised that it didn't sell? Definitely let me know down below. Make sure you subscribe if you like reseller videos. I would love to see you again in a future video. And that's it for today, friends. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.